This episode of the Noble Warrior Podcast is brought to you by CK Lin Mindset Coaching for Entrepreneurs. Whatever mental blocks in your life you want to overcome as an entrepreneur, fears of failure, inability to take the actions you know there is to take, fear of success, 3 steps forward and 4 steps back, or even that thought of not feeling deserving after achieving all the success. Coaching is one of the most valuable tools you can have. It's an investment in yourself, and it can yield some of the highest returns. CK Lin has the skills that will empower you to achieve the most accelerated results you've dreamed of. To help you get started, CK is offering podcast listeners a free strategy session with him, a $1,000 value. Visit talkwithck.com and schedule your free session today.
I'm really excited to be talking to Brent Estabrook. Brent is a new friend, and he is a visual artist, bringing new way of looking at physical reality and the fantastical.
I like that.
Yeah. So, and one of the things that really draw to me to Brent is his openness, his willingness to do the radical self-inquiry as a way to grow himself, grow his art, creative endeavors, and also grow his impact into the world. I want people to listen to his story in a way to really inspire you to pursue your creative pursuits. Because oftentimes we hear people who really want to pursue art as their path, but something stands in the way that stops them from really pursue that. And it doesn't matter how successful they are in business, how successful they are elsewhere in their life, something is stopping them. So I'm really interested to hear what Brent has to say, the path that he took in order for him to really share his art, to bring more love, more beauty into the world. So welcome to the show, Brent.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Glad to be here. Well, we're in my studio, but I'm definitely glad to be in my studio.
Yes. So why don't we start off by this radical self-inquiry. Mm-hmm. Before we started recording, we started to discuss what would it be like if we actually have this mechanism in our school system for students to start inquiring about who they are internally in our school system. So why do you think that's important, especially as from an artist's point of view?
Well, I mean, I could go into quite a bit of a rabbit hole with this, but, I spent most of my life just kind of droning through life, right? Like just following you do this, you go to school and then you go to in my case, you go to graduate school and then you get a job. Like I was on that path. I was never thinking about the potential I could bring to the world. And really that kind of went down to like a confidence issue. I was like, I'm me, like I'm nobody. I can't bring positivity. I can't make massive changes in the world. And it was in graduate school. So I guess my quick story, I was always an artist growing up. I went to undergrad at U of A with the intention of going into dental school. Again, it's just kind of like on that normal path, right? And I started painting in undergrad and fell in love with it. I eventually got into dental school, realized that was not my passion. I kind of went into dentistry because I was going to be a rich dentist, like I was going to be a successful rich dentist, and I found that path in life was not going to be fulfilling. Art was always my passion. And so towards the end of dental school is when I probably started my kind of like mindfulness. Like I started thinking about how do I improve myself mentally to just better myself and hopefully eventually better the world. Graduated dental school, said screw it, I'm going to be an artist, and have been doing it ever since. And
pause that for a moment, because you kind of skip a few key stages. Because a lot of people would say, I want to pick a safe path, being a dentist or accountant or whatever it may be, because that's more predictable.
Yes.
right? But it requires, from my point of view, courage to actually say, no, I'm not gonna go down that path. I'm gonna pick this new path, this less predictable path of being an artist.
Yes.
Because one may say that, hey, let me actually do both. Let me go through dentistry so that I have some predictable income, so that I can actually, carve out the mental space without the security concern, so that I can actually pursue my love, my passion, which is art, right? So walk me through a little bit in that critical moments when you say, screw it, I'm not going to do dentistry, I'm going to actually pursue art full time.
I could tell you that was a pure passion move. I did go into dentistry initially because I knew it was a safe, comfortable career. Like, yeah, good income. I was always good at school, so I was like, all I got to do is go to school for 4 more years. I'll graduate and I'll have a great income and I'll have a great life. And I loved painting so much. I mean, I painted every free moment I had in dental school. Like, I'd almost do the bare minimum to study, and then I was grabbing my paintbrush. So this path all started almost purely around passion. Like it was scary when I graduated and I kind of fully gave up on dentistry. But man, my passion just drove me. And that kind of fueled the beginning of it. And as that progressed is when I, how do I put it? Like, I guess I started to, it's like, how do I'm on this different path in life. I'm not following like the normal rule book. I need to optimize like myself in order to, one, make this successful, and to make this really successful that I could actually have an impact. Like, and I'll be honest, my first motivation in art was like, I want to be in the history books. Like, I want to be in the big museums, and don't get me wrong, I still do, but I guess fast forwarding a little bit, now I see I could potentially make a huge difference in the world through art, which is crazy. Like, I would have never imagined that. And so probably for the past like 3 years, like, this mindfulness has been I've realized I had a lot of I call them hindrances.
I call them
Interferences, yeah, that's a better one. I mean, I never really thought I was good enough. Never thought I deserved kind of, where I'm at in life now. And I realized these were all interferences that were holding me back from my greater potential. And, I started listening to a lot of podcasts, reading a lot of books, and I just, the people who were changing the world were all very much into, bettering their minds. And that was probably the big catalyst for like, well, Richard Branson, these guys are doing it, like, why not me? Like, there's got to be something to it. So that started really like my mind. That was like
So you started meditation, you decided to pursue art, then you decided to listen to the advice of these people who you respect, who are changing the world, as you said.
Yeah.
It says emulate their practices.
Yes. Like, it was kind of like, now I look at it, it's like, no duh. Like, these people know something. Like, why not try it? Especially if I don't need any other tool. All I got to do is sit in a chair and do it. At least, start the process. And yeah, that's kind of where it all started. I know you asked some other questions. I probably went around.
No, this is great. So you started emulating their practices, but what about that courage? The courage piece, because I talk to a lot of people who are super successful, 7, 8, 9 figure earners, right? They're very successful, but yet they're scared of going back to the art, their music, their painting, their poetry, and then share it publicly. So I would say, even though one of the phrases I say is how you do one thing is how you do everything, but at the same time, there's a chasm inside them. They don't tell anyone else but me that they have this secret desire to pick up music, painting, poetry again. So speak a little bit about the courage it requires you to say, I'm gonna pursue this because this is so important for me.
And to be very honest, I loved it so much that I couldn't think of doing anything else. In a weird way, don't get me wrong, there was, especially right after dental school, there was some very fearful moments, financially very scary.
Yeah, because they're like $200,000, right? Student debt, they know.
Double that,
$400,000.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
It's insanely expensive.
Right.
And I like my now business partner, but I grew up with him, good friend James Wright. Him and I started this together, and I went and lived with him and his wife in a 600 square foot apartment, slept on an air mattress for a year in their entry hall. It was like an open studio apartment. Like I was sleeping right next to him, and just every morning I'd flip up my air mattress. I had my easel behind it, and I just started painting. And to be honest, I think I actively looked for a dental job for about a week when I got to San Francisco. That's where I was staying. And then after that, honestly, I never thought about it. Never even thought about it. I was so drawn to art.
I see. Got it. You surrender to it.
Oh man, it's all I thought about. I would just wake up every morning and I just kept painting. And again, there was fearful moments, but looking back on it, I don't even think about those necessarily those times. I knew I was fairly talented in art at the time, and
so you had confidence in yourself.
I guess I did, like, to a point. It's always something, like, confidence is always something I battled, but that's kind of why I go back to say, like, my passion outweighed it. Like, I just loved it so much that I couldn't fathom doing anything else, and I just kept doing it.
You were hungry too.
Oh man, and it's why I tell people I don't know if it's the greatest advice for everybody in the world, but I tell people, like, find out what you love doing, and that passion will drive you towards it'll drive you towards success. Like the famous saying, find or do what you love and you never work a day in your life. I heard that probably a million times growing up, and it went in one ear and out the other. Just like, oh, it's a cool saying. But man, is it true. I'm sure with you as well. Like, once you find what you love to do, like, that passion has just driven me forward. And once that all got geared up, then I started realizing I had these kind of interferences that I needed to address. And luckily with art, I kind of have a lot of time to be to myself. And so in that aspect, I'm pretty lucky, because, yeah, I spend a lot of the time by myself, and I can spend a lot of time thinking. But now I'm trying to be much more routine about, like, every morning waking up and doing a meditation practice that is kind of addressing some of these interferences. Being more thankful, love, confidence. And man, I know I'm fast forwarding really far, but God, this was like a week ago. I was meditating and I just felt different. And this was after, like, I've been struggling with meditation back, like, having a constant routine, and I am now seeing the incredible, powerful benefits to it. And
what changed?
well, I'm sure we'll get into this eventually, but ceremony. That was a huge catalyst for me. Like, I've been telling everybody that will listen to me how powerful that experience was. And, you know, some people roll their eyes at me, but I think if you were to ask some of my friends, like, they've seen a difference in me. And kind of after that ceremony, I mean, I felt like I was on fire in a good way, fire.
Yeah, you told me creativity fire.
Oh man, dude, everything. It's like, dude, I was running all cylinders, and I feel like I still am. Like this was, when was this? 2 months ago now. You know, I've been very active after the ceremony. I have a very good journal routine in the morning, very good meditation routine, and I see this. I can feel this stuff working, which is crazy. I was one of those people all my life that I thought, like, you know, I got dealt a hand, and it was like, this is how I'm going to be. Like, I'll just be a normal person going through an American life. Just, I'll live and then I'll die. And I was kind of, this goes to the confidence thing, like, I never thought I could amount to anything. And now I see the potential in myself. And even, like, before the ceremony, I've had a ton of success in art. If I was to be honest, I probably had more success than most people. Yeah. But I never looked at it. I kind of, like, almost pushed myself away from it. Like, I was just like, it's almost like I got lucky a few times. And now I'm kind of redirecting that, and I see all the work and passion I put into it, and now I'm, like, embracing that. And it feels. Can I cuss on this?
Yeah, go for it.
I'll try not to do it all the time, but it feels fucking awesome. Like, man, have I had a shift in mindset since the ceremony.
So what kind of shift are you, for the people that are listening, they don't know what you're talking about? Talk, you know, describe for them the before and then describe for them the after, so they can, in their mind, see the shift.
So I really started my art career 4 years ago or so. Graduated dental school 2014. First year, 2014, 2015, was probably a very scary time, financially very scary. But again, my passion just kind of kept me going. And then 2015, 2016, started having a lot more success. 2016, 2017, even more. 2017, 2018, I've had a ton of success. I have an incredible studio. Just way more success than I ever thought. But I was never really. I never looked at it like I deserved it or I earned it, or I was never thankful for it. That's what it was. I was just kind of like, I would how do I put this? Like, I used to hide my signature in my paintings because I'd like try to detach myself from it, because I didn't feel like I've, like, earned it in a weird way. And I lost my train of thought.
Well, you collected. I want to underline this point, because a lot of entrepreneurs that I work with, when they come to me secretly, because they're responsible for a company, so they have to put up a front, a mask.
Yeah.
And secretly, they would tell me something very, very similar in flavor. they feel like an imposter.
Yes.
That all of this success could be taken away as soon as people found out who they really are, found out that they don't really deserve to be there.
Mm-hmm.
So they couldn't really be 100% themselves. They couldn't be fully self-expressed.
Mm-hmm.
So is that a little bit of the similar flavor?
Totally. Is it called the imposter syndrome?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Very much so. Like, I had all this success, but I was like, man, once people figure out like I'm just me, like then it's like they're gonna be like, what? Like, I don't like that art anymore. And it was like, what a ridiculous thought. It's such a stupid thought. And I definitely had that. And again, that probably goes to the confidence thing. And I did this ceremony, and I mean, a lot of it was I never stopped and realized where I made or where I've gotten to in life. And it was kind of like I was losing. I didn't have like joy when I came. I enjoyed painting, but there was a lot of time where I didn't realize how good I had it. Like, I paint 7 days a week. I do exactly what I want to do every single day. But I wasn't like stopping and appreciating it. And after that ceremony, like, I mean, if you look at my journal, now it's filled with like, God damn, I get to go in and paint today. Like, how awesome is that? And that has, oh my gosh, it's made me like, now I like embrace it. I like to like, I love going and meeting with collectors and like sharing my work with them, and I have a ton of people who again, I don't want to sound boastful, but I have like people who love my work. But I never felt like I deserved that love for it, but now I embrace it. Like, it's like I totally embrace it. And man, it is a powerful feeling. Like, it's one of the biggest things that happened to me during the ceremony. The second night was like a ton of bricks. I got this aha moment of just be thankful. And it's so easy to, it's all it is, it's mindset, right?
You make it sound so simple.
I know.
All it is just mindset.
It's just just be happy. And I don't know if I would have, before that ceremony, it hit me so hard. I mean, I can remember it so vividly. Like, I remember I felt like my head was like radiating this like beam of energy. And I was sitting there, I had my, fist kind of, if you can imagine, everybody knows where the third eye is at if they're listening to this probably. And I remember like pounding in this thought, like I was physically like fist on my head, like I was like pounding in a nail into my head, just be thankful. And again, hard to describe, hard to put into words, but man, it hit me like a ton of bricks. Completely shifted my mindset from that night till now. Like, and it has stuck with me. And man, that has vastly improved everything. Everything since that ceremony has been, I mean, like I said, firing on all cylinders. There's so many aspects I could talk about. Just
name a few.
Okay, so I guess I'll have to quickly talk about another one. Was I wanted to improve relationships in my life, love relationships, friends, family, everything. And I could maybe later I'll talk about it more, but that also improved. Or during the ceremony, I had this probably the most intense. Man, I felt what love is. I felt what like unconditioned love was, and I felt how beautiful it was to really embrace all the relationships I've had in my life with my friends, family, girlfriend, and that and the gratefulness has just synergistically have just compounded. like, man, I went out to dinner 2 nights ago with 3 of my best friends, and it was fan-fucking-tastic. Like, we just...
Thank you for being open and vulnerable.
Do you want to hear the whole story of it? It's a pretty...
If you're willing to share.
It's a pretty cool story. So, well, I think it is. So one of my big new collectors is Nobu.
You're doing great.
It's gonna be hard. I feel like there's so much to talk about. I don't even know where to begin.
We feel your gratitude.
I'll come full circle here eventually. I'm gonna probably go off in the weeds a little bit, but recently Nobu started collecting my artwork, and now I've hung out with them a lot, and I've talked with them a lot, and he's somebody that has reached a level in life where very successful, but also very, very giving. And I used to feel like kind of that imposter thing, like, he's gonna figure me out, like I'm when he first started collecting my work, like I felt like a nobody from small town Washington, like and now I've sat and spoke with them, and we've talked about just doing what you love, passion, and he's been incredibly giving. He's like, he shares my work with everybody, which is, he knows everybody. And Nobu he tells almost everybody about my artwork. Like I can't tell you how grateful I am for that, because he's helping me reach the top. And I was talking to him about some Wagyu from Japan. It's called olive Wagyu. It's I guess only like 2,000 cows in some Kagawa island or something. So olive Wagyu comes from this island in Japan that's only 2,000 cows, and it's a very, very rare Wagyu, like super rare. So he kind of made the comment. He's like, I'm gonna find some, and I'm gonna bring some back, and I'm gonna give some to you.
Wow. And
again, I was still kind of in that like I'm Brent, like I don't deserve that.
Right.
Like,
you're just being nice.
Yeah. And like 3 days ago, he hits me up and he's like, I found some of that olive Wagyu. Come into Matsuhisa, that's his first restaurant here. He's like, and I'm gonna give you some. And I was just like, boom, like blown away. So I guess 2 nights ago, I went in to Matsuhisa with 3 of my best friends, and Nobu served and cooked us olive Wagyu. Like, he went back in the kitchen and made this, and came out and served us. And It was Oh, it was such a credible experience. It was just hanging out with my best friends, enjoying some of the most insane Wagyu I've ever had in my life.
Wow.
It was it was incredible. I don't know where I was going with that story, but man, it was, dude, I felt like I was on drugs. Like I was so just thankful for everything. It was overwhelming. Yeah, I totally forgot where we were going with that story, but
Well, let me interject a little bit, right? Because it actually brought me some new questions as you're describing this. You've been really, really blessed. I'm so moved by your gratitude for these people who have helped you, who are helping you, and also your cultivation to emanate love to everyone that you touch, right? So these two things really fuel your creativity in all aspects of your life. I want to make sure that this is tactical for the people who are listening.
yeah, I was going to say this story may not.
Because in
go
some
forever.
ways, a lot of the creative entrepreneurs, they want to be at your level, right? They want to be successful. They want to be hanging out with Nobu, and they get the chance to.
Yeah.
How would you, knowing what you know now, because you actually been through a journey from worrying about finances, being $400,000 in debt, dental school debt, to where you are right now, hanging out with Nobu. It's a journey, right?
Oh yeah.
So, knowing what you know now, what tactical advice would you give them to say, hey, you too can do this? What are some of the little principles that you learn from Nobu or these people that you hang around with that you too can also pursue this career, this profession in art?
In art specifically?
Or in life, but since you're coming from the space of being a creative entrepreneur, what advice would you give them, knowing what you know now, having gone through that journey? And you're still in the beginning of your journey too. You're still super young, right? 34. So.
I'll go back to I totally I let my passion fuel all this.
So now, okay, one, let your passion fuel this.
Oh yeah,
and then surrender to it. If I'm hearing you.
Yes.
Okay, what else?
I mean, just on that passion thing, people. I use Shaun White as an example. Do you think Shaun White got into snowboarding because he thought he was like, "Ooh, I'm gonna make a ton of I'm gonna become real successful snowboarding." He did it because he loved it, right? Then he became uber successful. I'll go back to the ceremony. It's
So do ceremony? I'm joking. No.
I would if it was up to me. I'd say everybody should do it at least once. It clears out all the cobwebs. I obviously be very confident in what you do, right? Because a lack of confidence is only going to hold you back from, especially in the creative world, being out there, trying new things. Art is one of those kind of, there's no, probably in any creative industry, there's no guidebook. You can be like, oh, you go to school here, and then you do this, and you do this, and do this.
Algebra 1, Algebra 2.
Yeah,
and then
no,
before you know it.
You have to, the more, especially in the creative world, the more different you are, the better it is. And it's kind of scary to, attempt different things in the art world, but if you embrace being different in the art world, that's how you get success in it, right? You fully go in on what you do, and you're so confident in what you do. No matter what you do, that confidence and passion will radiate into your work. It could be, you could paint a giant square just red, but if you're doing it for a passionate and confident, passionate reason, people will eventually see that. It's just man, it really is. Follow your heart. You can have success in the art world you could paint Marilyn Monroe and put a bunch of Gucci signs or paint people's dogs. And you could get financial success, but man, the moment you start really creating, like through your heart, that's, I swear, people gravitate towards that, and people can see that in you. And
there's a certain gravity with the confidence that you exude into your expressed art.
Oh yeah. It's one of those like magical things that, you know, science can't explain it. It's just one of those like magical things of art that really, if you put your heart and passion into it, I can almost guarantee you'll be successful. I can't see a path that it doesn't happen.
So let me ask you this, and then I'm gonna feed my meter in a moment.
Okay.
You've been really blessed. You had mentioned to me off a record that you had a counselor who believed in you. You had James who believed in you.
Good friends.
You have now Nobu who believed in you. These are pivotal relationships, really, when you didn't even believe it in yourself at that time. How were you able to attract people who believed in you so much that they're willing to champion you, even when you didn't believe in yourself back then?
James has been a massive part of it. Thank God I found James. This goes to any artist out there. If you're not good at business, find somebody who's good at business, because art, whether you like it or not, is, you know, part of its business, right? Half of its business. So thank God James truly believed in me. And he a lot of my success now is from him, but a lot of my early success was definitely contributed to him because he believed in me so much. He filled my lack of confidence. Like, he was so confident in what I did that it helped propel me. So I got very, very lucky in that situation. You know, if I could go back and tell younger me, like if I just had confidence, like I could have fulfilled a lot of that role. But I mean, James does way more than just give me confidence. You know,
course.
Like but. And I've talked with a lot of artists kind of like to, you know, stay in their studio, not be seen, and just make their paintings.
Right, they believe that the work should speak for itself.
Yeah, and from people I have talked to, like a lot of people, you could tell almost when they price like their artwork, like they'll just put a stupid low price on it, so they don't feel like they deserve it. And the more confidence you have in what you do, it almost goes without saying, like the more successful you're going to be. Like if you exude confidence, man, that elevates you massively. I wish there was an easy trick to, you know, gaining confidence, but I think this mindfulness is meditation, ceremony being a massive one, is an incredible catalyst to gaining more insight to this state of mind. Again, back to like ceremony, like some of these things, like the just be thankful, like it sounds so, just be thankful. It sounds so stupid easy. For some reason, my brain didn't compute that thought until after that ceremony. Like it hit me like a ton of bricks. Man, it just washed over me.
It's one of those things that people know a lot about on this intellectual level.
Know a lot about
being thankful. These type of truism. You may hear it when you're in, when you're out, kind of a thing. You're like, yeah, I know it, but they only know it on the intellectual level. But when you actually experience this on the embodiment level, when you actually truly embody it, then you're going to really deepen that experience of gratitude, of love, of these believing in yourself, of self-worthiness. These are type of things that it's not an intellectual understanding, because I, for myself, know it intellectually, even preach it to others intellectually for many, many years, until I actually had my first ceremony going through this embodied experience. I was like, oh, now I know what it means to be a leader. Now I know what it means to be a loving partner. Now I know what it means to be a loving brother, a son. You know, all these beautiful human experiences that I just didn't have access to.
Man, you hit it on the head. That's what it was. Like, intellectually, I knew what all these concepts were. Heard it a million times. I've never felt it. I've never felt what unconditional love was. And after that ceremony, man, did I feel it. Oh, I'd love to tell that story.
It's one of those things that it's ineffable. You can't transmit it to another person.
Yeah. What does ineffable mean?
Ineffable means you can't describe it.
Oh, okay. I'm going to use that word a lot now because
you can't describe it, because it's like, you know, one example that I give to people is you can describe it, you can paint a picture for it about what it's like to ride a bicycle. But until you get on a bicycle, you don't know what it's like to ride a bicycle.
Man.
And another thing about that too is you may think you know how to ride a bicycle, but until you ride a bicycle and without falling off, you don't know how to ride a bicycle. And similarly, I mean, it's just a segue to another thing that is people walk out of a ceremony feeling like, all right, I got this. I now know how to love, how to be generous, how to be compassionate. But until you are tested in a situation that are stressful, until you meet someone who may not be so lovable, until you actually face some situation where you don't feel so compassionate, and you can continue to be compassionate and loving in that highest version of you that you know yourself to be, you don't know how to ride a bicycle yet. You know, because you still fall off.
Yeah.
So one of the things I heard Terry Crews said on the Tim Ferriss show, he said that life is a confidence game. The more confident you are, everything else just becomes easier. The more easy you can create things, the more gravity you have to attract investors, customers, collaborators. So for someone who is being on the path of cultivating confidence, from not having it to now having it to now amplifying it, right? What tactical thing would you give the listener to as a way to cultivate their inner confidence? Because it's one of those things that you hear people talk about. Yeah, have more confidence. Yeah, but how do you do that?
Yeah,
right? It's not something that, you know, it's easy to say, but you can just go out and do it. So what tactical things that you've done to really help you cultivate inner confidence, inner believing of oneself, worthiness, and all these things?
One very, I guess, tangible one is start journaling every morning. A lot of it's what I'm thankful for. But as you're writing these, as I'm writing these things, I see like all these, like basically positive wins I'm having every day. Right?
So you're tracking your wins.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because like what I'm thankful for, you can almost, they're like my wins as well, right? Like.
Gotcha.
And yeah, you could sit there and like read it in front of you, and you see all these, you know, things that you're improving on, or all these like great things that are happening. And it could be it may be one of those, what's that word? Ineffable. Like I've been doing it a lot through meditation, and I guess if you want to get into that, I'll kind of imagine, I'll get into a deep state of meditation. I'll do the 4 second in, 4 second.
The box.
Yeah,
breathing.
Box breathing. I'll do that to kind of clear my mind. Then I'll tell myself, oh, this is another one I'd love to talk about, is the just be. When the healer would say, like late at night, he said, you know, everybody take a moment just to be. And so I'll kind of like just be very present. I'll not be thinking about anything. I'll actually be like feeling my body, like scanning my arms. And then that kind of gets me to a deep state of meditation where I don't have, you know, any stressful thoughts or anxiety thoughts, you know, coming in. And then I'll kind of imagine myself at a time in my life when I was very confident, like uber confident, and then kind of manifest myself into that. I don't know how like helpful that will be, because it's.
But I help you.
Yeah, it's definitely helped me.
Okay, great. So journaling, imagining yourself, recalling the time where you're super confident.
Yeah.
As a way to anchor yourself.
Oh yeah.
So what else?
Man, a lot of it is just really stepping back. It kind of goes to the being thankful thing. Like, I step back and I look at what I've achieved, and like, holy shit, like, man, look, I did this, I sold this painting, like, this person's buying this paint, like, oh my gosh, like, what the hell am I, like, why am I lacking confidence in all this? Like, I guess I've had a lot of, just through selling work, I've had a lot of like areas I could look back and see all these like validating things. Yeah, to be honest, I look back at successes I've had, and I've used that to kind of reroute my thinking.
In case you are doubting yourself, you can actually look back on everything else you've done.
Yeah.
So that's actually the benchmark.
Yes.
Of what you have achieved, what you have accomplished, no matter what the circumstances are right now today. So, but one of those things that's a very cerebral process. And what I realized is this: meditation, journaling, these are state changes. These are tools for state changes.
Yes.
Box breathing, all these are great. And from my personal exploration, also client work, what I realized that state changes don't necessarily stay permanent. So it's through our own cultivation and practice that actually allow us to really exercise that muscle. I'm interchangeably changing the analogy here, but exercise the muscle of self-confidence and self-belief, self-worthiness.
Yes.
To continue to stay in that zone even when stressful situation comes.
Yes.
Right? So that's the way I kind of think about it. So it's so important for us to cultivate this during peacetime. So when stress situation comes, you can actually handle it.
Yeah. I guess, yeah, the way I kind of came about it was, again, I don't want to say ceremony was like the biggest catalyst to it all. And now I've been, like, the journaling has been, do it every morning, no matter what. Meditation every morning, no matter what. And I've always been into health, exercise, diet, and all that. And it makes so much sense that, like, why not work the brain muscle? You know, why not try to better the thoughts? Like, reroute the unconscious habitual. You know, if there's a habitual thought that I have that is not serving me, like, why not reroute that to make it a more positive thought?
So let me ask you this. So recalling back to your early days.
Yes.
Even though you are cultivating your art, the mechanics of painting, you are painting every day, but the results haven't yet shown up yet. During that time, recalling that period, do you have any advice for people who are cultivating their physicality, their emotionality, their spirituality, their mentality, and yet the results that they desire hasn't shown up yet? How would you advise them to, in that bridge period?
It's probably why I don't know if this is going to answer your question, but it's why doing what you love, I think, is so important, because again, that was what kind of fueled me, even when I wasn't selling anything. Like, I just kept doing it because I loved it. I mean, I was hustling too. Like, I was emailing everybody. Like, I was.
Okay, great.
Oh yeah.
Okay, good. So that's tactical.
Oh
okay,
man,
so
I was
email everyone. So what else can I do?
I'd cold call people. Estee Lauder. I found a phone number in like an article And I called them up and was like, hey, instead of doing photographs for your makeup, how about I do a painting, then you guys put it in your magazine, so it'll be a painting of your product instead of spending, $10,000 on a photo shoot. Like, I'll just paint the makeup in a really, nice kind of impressionistic way, and you guys could put that in. And that was like some of the early wins, the first couple wins.
But the thing is, you didn't just play small. You called directly through Estrelado.
Yeah, which was very uncomfortable for me.
All right. Okay, good. So pick up the phone, call your ideal clients, collectors, people who appreciate your art. Anything else?
If you really want to go into like what I would tell an artist to do,
sure.
Oh man,
let's concretize it, right? So that way it's not theoretical.
Like if you're an artist out there, this works for any creative type, I believe. Like, it is the best time to be an artist or a creative because you have, Instagram. Like 75% of my business still comes in from Instagram.
So tactically, what would you advise them to do?
I would
Instagram.
So how I started, when I first started, one, I did a lot of hustling, cold calls, emails.
So cold call, email.
And then I started making paintings, and I would reach out to big influencers and basically like, hey, I'll give you this badass painting. All I ask in return is that you post it on your Instagram and tag me. And man, that was a great way to like skyrocket my career. That's kind of how I started building up my followers. And then, one of the guys I went out to dinner with, one of my big collectors, he saw me because this influencer posted it on his Instagram.
I see.
Like, as an artist, don't be afraid to give away a few pieces for free. Like, realize the value you can get. Like, even though you're giving away for free, you're not getting money. Like, the value you're going to get in return for that could be massive.
I see.
Right? Like,
so you did a calculated giveaway.
Oh yeah.
It wasn't just one, without thought.
No, I was very strategic about who I picked.
Right.
And art, it's for a small painting, it's maybe $50 in material. But think of what that $50 and your time, which is valuable, but think of what that can give you in return if you get that in the right hands, and now you got 10 people asking for the next painting, right? Like, and if you really want to go into this art thing, people love their dogs. Like, you wanna instantly attract some big influencer and have them post your work. Find a huge influencer that loves their dog, paint their dog, send it to them in the most badass package with a handwritten note that says, "My name's so and so. I'm trying to build up my art career." I would love it. Like, I would love it if you posted this on your Instagram. All I ask in return is you tag my name. And that person with 20 million followers posts it. Like, you're going to have 20 people asking to paint your dog, and they'll probably pay good money for it.
You don't need to do that anymore, right?
No, I don't do that.
Because I was thinking, like, The Rock loves his dog.
The Rock, any artist out there that can paint dogs, dude, find a picture of The Rock's dog and paint it. Again, send them. I always like this. I got this idea from Mark Echo. I think it was Mark Echo.
Yeah, the t-shirt guy.
Yeah.
He, apparel.
He sent a bunch of hats or apparel to Spike Lee, I believe, but he put it in the most obnoxious, like, crazy crate that if it was presented in front of anybody, that person would be so compelled to open it and see what was in it. Swag bombs, I think he called it. And I did that, and it works. It may work, 9 out of 10 times, maybe a person won't respond to your DM or whatever, but that one person that does and that is willing to do that, like, man, that's a snowball effect. And then you're now, especially in the art world, now you have a relationship with this person. And like, any artist out there, confident or not, realize, I've kind of come to realize that people who aren't in the art world kind of see what you do as pretty magical. Like, it's a mystery to them. Like, you're this, like, God, you can create that? Like, yeah, if they don't have an art mind, like you're this kind of like little magical being that can create this really beautiful artwork. And I totally embrace that.
It's pretty magical, the stuff that you show me here.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
mean, it's pretty. I mean, for those of you who are listening, definitely check out Brent's stuff, because this is I'm looking at a 2D picture that looks and feels like velvet.
That's my specialty.
Yeah,
velvet.
it's pretty. It's really, really incredible.
Oh, okay. Again, if we're focusing on artists, there's kind of I can almost categorize artists into 3 different groups.
Okay, let's hear it.
There's this is very, very generalized. There's artists who are great at self-promotion, and they're good at like almost turning themselves into a celebrity.
Turning them into a brand.
Yeah, turning into a brand. There's artists who are incredible painters, but they're just okay. Well, let me put this. I don't want to. There's artists who are painters, like they just enjoy the process of painting. That's very much what I am. I like. If I could probably have it my way, I'd just sit in here and just paint all day and not post Instagram. Just like I paint because I love it.
Yeah.
And there's tons of artists out there like that.
Right.
And then the third group is artists who are great painters, but they're also great self-promoters, like celebrities, basically. That's like the Picassos. You could become uber success if you're good at just branding yourself. You, no matter the artwork you create, you could sell it because it becomes cool, right? And I guess the artists I want to speak to are the ones who are phenomenal painters, and there's tons of them out there on Instagram. The people that are in their studios and love painting and really like find passion in it, like you have to. This is gonna sound stupid to some people, but like those I know those painters. So I had the same mindset. Like you have to, like get your work out there, be confident, like show it, like because once people realize how good you are, and now you start to kind of become a brand. I don't want to use the word brand, but what's a better word for it?
It's a well-known
Like
entity.
really stand behind your artwork. Be very proud of it, and you start to become. That's when you start to get in like good painter, and celebrity is the only word I can think of.
No, but you actually mentioned. I think this is a good point to underline here. Is you yourself believe in the work that you do?
Oh yeah,
because that's a big tipping point, right? Would you
Oh,
say?
yeah.
Because I'm guessing, I'm projecting. Correct me if I'm wrong. At some point, you're like, I don't know if this is worth it. But at some point, you tipped, like my stuff is good.
I guess
Was there a point?
Speaking personally, I knew I was good, and as a painter, I was kind of making some. I don't know if this is true throughout the whole art world, but as a technically good painter, you can kind of reach a level and sell artwork for X amount, right? There's almost like a ceiling. You have to now become.
What's that X amount?
I don't know.
6 figures, 5 figure. Just ballpark.
I don't know. I'd say ballpark in the 5 figures.
5 figure. Okay.
But to get to like, if you want to sell paintings for like $1 million, you have to be the person behind. You have to now be just as important as the art, right? Like you have to be basically the celebrity who paints the incredible paintings. Because you can make incredible paintings, and kind of in the social media world, they'll reach. There's like almost like a cap you can get to. Like you could. Doesn't matter how good you are. Now you have to, like, and this is kind of the area like I'm moving into. I used to hide behind my paintings because I knew I could make awesome paintings, but me personally, like it was like that imposter syndrome thing. Like I didn't, like I thought if I attached myself to it, it would become less valuable, right? But now I'm realizing how much more valuable it is that I'm the man behind this painting. And yeah, so it's, like at the beginning, if it wasn't for James, I'd still be sitting in my room, locked away painting, because that's all I wanted to do, you know. But now I'm just finding so much joy in going out and hanging out with Nobu and sitting at his restaurant and taking
awesome.
pictures with them.
No, that's great, man.
It's like this is the new mindset I've been in. Like I'm now very proud of what I do.
I mean, it's beautiful. I'm not a artisan, or I don't know, even a aficionado when it comes to art. But I'm looking at your stuff, I'm like, man, this is good. This is good stuff.
Thank you.
This is amazing. So,
and now, I used to be somebody who'd shy away from compliments, but man, I fucking love it.
Yeah, that's great.
Absolutely love it.
Yeah, receive.
Yes.
Okay, so we talked about the mechanics of the journey of becoming an artist, stepping into from wanting to do it to being amateur about it to now turning pro to now turning yourself into a brand. Right? We touch upon these type of things. We talked about self-mastery, how you cultivate confidence in your own journey in doing that. Do you think that skill is translatable? I'm sure you probably have other artist friends who may be musicians, who may be singers, who may be authors, who are in this creative world, but they don't necessarily paint per se. Do you feel that these type of skills, these type of tactics are translatable to what they do as well?
Yes. Definitely. Like an easy example I can think of is, say, anybody who's creatively good at like video editing, or like, if I think this is a question you're asking, but or a singer, like I would go find a huge YouTube channel and offer to do free music for them, just like, hey, give me a plug on your next video, and or give me a shout out, or video editing. You go be like, hey, or okay, here's one. There's this one guy who, I'm a huge Joe Rogan fan, and he takes some of Joe Rogan's, like a snippet of one of his podcasts, and he'll animate it. And I can guarantee he just started doing this and sending it to him. And now, then Joe Rogan will repost it. And I'm sure this guy's making a killing now, doing what he loves, sitting on the computer, doing these really creative, funny little videos. And started off, I can almost guarantee it for free, just by doing it and sending it to him. And now I'm sure this guy's crushing it.
What do you love about Joe Rogan, by the way?
I love just the scope of people he has on. I tend not to listen to the ones where he has like comedians or UFC fighters. Actually, one of the biggest shifts in my life was from one of his podcasts.
Tell us about it.
So his business partner, Aubrey Marcus, this was my third year at dental school, and I listened to this podcast, and Aubrey Marcus is, you know who he is, right? Yeah, he's done a lot of ceremonies. He's big into psychedelics, big into bettering himself. And he told this, it was like a 3-hour story of, I believe he went to Peru and he did ayahuasca ceremony. And man, hearing him talk about it, I was like, man, I want that experience. Like, you could just, you could tell when somebody's genuine, right? Like when they're speaking in a genuine fashion. And I listened to it, and I like felt what he was talking about. And I've never really listened to somebody where I was so compelled just by listening to him, like I could feel him. Like I remember I cried during it.
Oh wow!
And after that, I kind of, I'm a huge believer in psychedelics. This is not like, get fucked up and go to a party and do them. This is doing them with an intention to better yourself. And that kind of started my journey down that path. And then that was psilocybin. And then after that like completely unlocked. Like I was like, oh my God, like there's so many different ways. It's how was it described? It's just like looking at the world in a little different light, and you realize that there's a lot of unknowns to us now, and it kind of like invigorated my curiosity to discover more about my how I saw the world and mentally.
What kind of people do you think is suitable for using psychedelics as a way to better themselves? Because it's not for everyone.
I would say everybody.
I mean, but it's not for everyone, right?
I know. I don't know if I could categorize it. Like, almost all my friends, like I try to get them to do it, but I think I just know them. I know they're at the mental state where they could handle it if they chose to do it.
Right.
And I think there's a lot of betterment that a lot of them will get out of it. But if I was to, I don't know if I could like tell you these people should do it and these people shouldn't.
Well, I mean, you just did, right? So for the people that can actually handle it.
Yeah,
it is.
I don't know how to quantify that.
Yeah, it is. In my mind, the way I quantify it is warrior spirit, who have a strong enough mind, who's stable enough.
Yeah.
That this won't destabilize their mentality.
Yeah.
Right.
If you get schizophrenia or a history of it, like, maybe.
Right. It's
maybe stay away from it.
Right. Like bipolar, schizophrenia, that type of people where you're not mentally stable.
Yeah.
I would say don't mess with it.
Yes.
The way I articulate it is this is a dojo for your mind. And if you're not physically fit, don't enter a dojo.
Yes.
Until you have the container that's safe enough for you to enter, then with proper guidance, then it's more suitable to do this, right?
I would highly encourage everybody to like start a meditation practice. Like, and just know at the beginning it's probably going to be difficult. You're probably going to be feeling like you're doing jack shit. Like you're just like, what? Like sit there quietly. Like, but I think that was a great. That kind of opened me up to be open to the idea, and I mean, because a lot of psychedelics all psychedelics they can get really weird, right? Like
that's the whole point.
Yeah,
you get yourself out of your reality for a moment.
Yes, and like to be okay with that, and I would say if I could put a percentage of the population I think should be doing it, I feel like a good chunk of the population should be open to this. God, we live in a utopia. We get Donald Trump and who's the North Korea guy, Kim Jong-un, or man, have them do a little ceremony. Like we live in a very different world, in a very positive world.
No, but that's an interesting point that you're making, right? Because a lot of people in the psychedelic community feels like that's the answer, and here's where my opinion differs. Because I believe that psychedelics is a good amplifier. It's similar to wealth, similar to influence, similar to power. It doesn't enhance who you are, it just amplifies who you are.
Ah, that's a great way to put it. I've never thought, that's a great way to put it.
Right, because if you are a good, generous, compassionate person, giving you more power, more wealth, you're going to use your wealth and influence towards who you already are.
Yes.
Similarly with psychedelics, even though, yes, you may be shown more light, quote unquote, right, in the spiritual sense, but if who you are isn't kind of an asshole, you're gonna come out and trying to now impose your point of view on other people. You should do this because I said
okay,
so.
Maybe. All right, you're right.
But that's my point of view, right? And it's probably an answer somewhere in the middle. I mean.
Yeah, I'm thinking of all the friends that I've recommended this to, and I guess it's the majority of the friends I hang out with, they're all really good people. And I know it just make them the better version of them, or just help amplify them. Oh man, life-changing.
Beautiful.
Truly, truly life-changing.
Is
In
there
all
any-
the great ways.
Beautiful. Is there anything else that you wanted to address, or anything else that you feel like would be, for the people who are listening still, that, you know, some gem or some wisdom, some tactical thing that you have received that you really want to share with them? Let me actually ask a better question. For any creative entrepreneurs listening, knowing what you know now, having the success that you have now, having gone through the difficulties that you have, is there what's one thing that you ask them to take action on?
I meet a lot of people who are doing, I don't know how to describe them, like 9-to-5 jobs, right? Like they're doing a job and it's a job, but they always tell me like, I used to play the piano, or yeah, I used to draw, but I haven't done it in a while. And I guess I'm making the assumption that they enjoyed doing that, but I tell them, like, you have to pick it back up. Like, you don't have to make a business out of it, you don't have to make a life out of it, but this is a beautiful joy that you're kind of like depriving yourself of. Like, man, if you play the piano and you enjoy doing it, take some time at least once a week and sit down and play the piano. Like, you could do this the rest of your life, and you're only going to get better. The more, like, creativity, you may get blessed with a better eye or coordination or whatever it be, but a lot of it's a practice, and the more you do it, the better you get at it, and then the better you get at it, the more you enjoy it. Like, it's all just good positivity compounding. Yeah, so if you have any creative endeavor you do, or just something you enjoy doing, and you're not doing it, and you're not doing it for no good reason, like, come on, wake up, start doing it. Like, this is something you enjoy. Like, let it be a part of your life.
Here's actually one thing I want to add to that too. Think of it as cross-training. That's bringing back to the athletic capability wise. If you're an NFL player, chances are do a little bit of yoga. It's actually going to not only enhance your mobility, but will also enhance your performance in playing football. In this example, if you're an entrepreneur, if you go out and paint and write poetry or sing or recording videos, whatever it is, creative endeavor that you have, ultimately that's going to rejuvenate your creativity and enhance your profession. Because most entrepreneurs that I meet are very cerebral. They were very much the yang energy. They just want to have that intention. If it doesn't touch my business, I won't touch it, kind of a thing.
Yes, yeah.
All right, so they're very, very single-minded, and I've been there. I totally understand that, and know that when you do this cross-training, whether it's music or writing or video or teaching or whatever it may be, it's going to only rejuvenate that creativity, and that would bring it back to the profession now you want to be the main focus on.
Yes.
Yeah, that's my point of view on that.
Yes. To elaborate on that, the more I get into art, is, like I said, there's a business aspect to it too. It's like very entrepreneurial, and I see such a relationship between, you know, being creative in art and being creative in business. Like, it's, you work your creative muscle, like, now you have all these different creative routes you can, like, you know, that will influence your business, or you might, you know, find a better way to unveil a new product, like a really creative, artistic way, and we all know that's just more, you know, it's more appealing, or like it, it only, I would think, only strengthens it. And then one other thing I've thought of that kind of, I think, is some fairly good practical, I guess, advice is yoga was has been a great way that, because a lot of my friends are athletes, and I think yoga was a great way to not only get into, physically bettering myself, but also mentally bettering myself, helping myself get into that state of mind of like just being present, being in my body, which then, as you know, like the more present you are, you reach like a state of deeper consciousness, right? Mm-hmm. And I thought yoga was a great, easy transition from going to no mindfulness to like now you're exercising, but you're now you're getting into mindful states too. Mm-hmm. So it was like a nice bridge for maybe anybody who's doesn't want to like sit down in a chair, close their eyes and meditate. Like they can kind of two birds with one stone.
Yeah, think of it as a moving meditation.
Yeah.
So one thing which I actually didn't talk about specifically is the importance of peer groups. Because you mentioned many times in this story, in your own narrative, in your hero's journey, that you had someone who believed in you, right? And that you're now surrounding yourself with friends who give you a experience of love.
Yes.
Help you really amplify that even more.
Yes.
So how does cultivating the right peer group actually make a difference in your creative pursuits as a
man? This is one of those inaffable things. Is that the right word? Mm-hmm. Okay. I don't know if I could quite explain it, but I now just I just try to be around people I love and that makes me happy, and people who are also like crushing it in life. Like those are the people I want to surround myself with, and all that energy just plays off everybody. I think it's highly, this sounds bad, but I've had, and they're still friends, but there's been like probably more negative influences in my life, and sounds a little selfish, but I've kind of moved away from them because I don't really want that in my life. And now I really identify with the people who are on the same trajectory as me. And I mean, this could be one of those things that goes in one ear and out the other, but it really is like, show me your friends and I'll show you your future. Like, start identifying with the people you want, that they're on, the same path you are, that can elevate you in all aspects, friends, relationships. Like, my hope is to be my best person the day I die. And I know that will only happen if I surround myself with other people who are on that same path. Yeah.
Beautiful place to leave it.
Yes.
Right. Brent, thank you so much for sharing your journey, the lessons you learn along the way, and the tactical advice that you have for creative entrepreneurs.
You are very welcome. It was my pleasure.
Yeah. For those of you listening, so go out, try out Brent's advice, and tell us what you receive as a result. Have a beautiful rest of the day. Take care.